If you are closing in on retirement and you have a 401k, I want to make sure that you are aware of some of the common mistakes people make at this time of life that you could avoid, because these could be very costly as you venture into retirement if you step on these landmines now. But before we get there, subscribe to my channel and hit the notifications bell to when you're alerted to when we post new videos. I've been doing this for over 30 years. I want to share with you what I've learned in this business, the conversations I've had with my clients, so that you can avoid some of those costly mistakes. And I know you've worked hard. I know you want to enjoy this retirement. Let's do it together. Let me start off by sharing a story of a client of mine many years ago, and a lesson that he did not learn at that time, but I hope you will. So he was working for a company called Wang. Are you old enough to remember that? Well, we were doing the planning for retirement. He was going to retire in about 9 months or so. And about 90% of what he owned, you guess it, was in Wang stock. So my suggestion to him was, as his advisor, was to unbundle that, to lower some of that risk. He had already hit his retirement number, and even though he was really comfortable with the company, with the fact they were taking care of him, you know, he'd worked there for a long time, and he thought everything was safe. You know the end of the story. He retires, and within 6 months of retirement, Wang's stock took a nosedive, along with his prospects for a retirement that he was hoping for. So it's really important and it's really instructive for all of us to learn the lessons from others so we don't make similar mistakes. So I've got 5 things that I want to share with you. The first one is, know what your retirement number is. Now, I want to share with you a study that was done a number of years ago by New York Life. And it talks to this particular topic. And there were 3 different groups of people that they asked the same 2 questions. In the first set of people, behind door number 1, folks who had approximately $500,000 of assets, investable assets, and they were asked the first question, do you think you have enough money to retire? And the answer they gave back was no. And then the follow-up question was, how much do you think you need? And the answer was somewhere in the vicinity of, it averaged out about $1 million. They went to the second group. Same 2 questions, but these folks had about $1 million of investable assets. They also said, no, they didn't think they could retire. And they thought that their number should be somewhere about 2.4 million was about the average. Then they went to the third group of people who had about $2 million of investable assets and asked the same 2 questions. And they too said basically, no, we don't think we're ready to retire. Or we have enough money to retire. And the answer to the question about how much they thought they needed was they thought they needed $5 million. So no matter what level you are at, if you don't do the planning, then you may never know that you've actually accomplished your number. So please go about and do the planning. It'll make it so much easier for you to understand whether or not you're on track to have that comfortable, confident retirement. The second item is analyze your current allocations. So typically what happens in a 401k is you sort of set it and forget it. You put in what the allocations would be, you put money in, and over time, hopefully, it goes from here and grows and grows and grows. But what's happened for a lot of people who did have a well-balanced portfolio, if they did not make adjustments along the way, if they did not rebalance, then they may have gotten to a point now where they have too much risk. Let me share with you, if we go back to the late 90s, where During that time, a lot of people had a lot of money in these growth mutual funds invested in this technology. And for a number of years, those funds did really well. And let's say that you had a 60-40 portfolio, 60% in equities, 40% in fixed income. But because the equities did so well, it now grew to 70 or 75% in equities and maybe only 25 or 30% in fixed income. More risk than you thought you had. You had done really well but didn't rebalance. But now that you're about to retire, if you have too much in equities and the markets come down at just the wrong time, it may have a really big impact on you. So go in and take a good hard look at and talk to your retirement plan provider or your financial advisor with regards to what your allocations are right now and whether or not you need to make any adjustments. So the real big question is, are you prepared for retirement? In my recent book, Don't Outlive Your Money in Retirement, we created a quiz. Go to my banner, okay? It's invest 2 minutes into the quiz. It's a very quick quiz. We'll get you a score as to which of the 3 retirement preparedness stages you are in. I'll also get you a free chapter of the book and a couple of worksheets to provide you with a little bit more clarity on whether or not you're on track. So go to the back. So the third item I'm going to talk about is your contributions. So I need for you to take a look at 2 things with regards to contributions. 1, are you maxing out at this point? How much are you putting in? Okay. But 2, maybe even more importantly, getting back to what the second point was, making sure you don't have too much risk in that 401k at just the wrong time. Make sure, again, it was pretty much set it and forget it before. Your contributions were going into certain funds. Along with your planner and your accountant, make sure that you're now contributing to the right funds. So the balance is correct. Your 401k really made up of 2 different things. 1, the money you've accumulated, which we talked about in the second point, and the money you're contributing, which is what we're talking about right now. So take a look at both items. The 4th item, do you have too much in your company stock invested in the 401k or in the stock plan itself? I see it more and more again. I mean, hadn't we learned our lessons with Wang, with Polaroid, with Enron? We've seen these companies just crater at just the wrong time for folks who are retiring or retired with all of their eggs in one basket. Please, I'm begging you, take a look at it. Divorce the fact that if you've worked for this company for a long time, that it's been a really good experience, with the fact that you have all of your eggs in one basket. They, the company, are not going to take care of you in the form of their stock looking forward. It's not their job. It's your job to make sure that you protect your retirement number and have whatever the proper asset allocation is that is in alignment with your goals. The 5th item is, in anticipation of retirement, whether or not you should Roth all or a part of your 401k. So what's the benefit here? So both in the regular IRA or 401k and the Roth, all of it grows tax deferred. But here's the big difference. When you go to retire and you look to get income out of a retirement account, if it's in the 401k or an IRA, regular IRA, it's going to be taxed at ordinary income rates. If it's coming out of a Roth, there's no tax. And by the way, once you reach age 72, if you still have the 401k or an IRA, you're going to have to start taking money out because of the required minimum distribution rules. With a Roth, there are no required minimum distributions. Now, there is a cost to making a conversion if you do from a regular IRA to a Roth. But within 401ks, many of them now have the ability for you to contribute to Roth. So you may want to, again, go to your planner and your accountant to see whether or not it's in your best interest to add a Roth IRA to a regular IRA and to your 401k. In essence, you're diversifying tax strategies when you do this. Also, take a look at my playlist, 7 Steps, so that you don't run out of money in your retirement.